Earlier this year, the founder of the anti-vaccination movement, Andrew Wakefield, released a movie or a film or whatever the hell documentary he wants to call it, titled Vaxxed: From Cover Up to Catastrophe. Basically, it's outlining all the CDC whistleblower cover up and all sorts of other nonsense that has no merit. So, rightfully, it's been subjected to quite a bit of scrutiny by skeptics, lay people, and autism advocates alike. One such critic has been Fiona Pettit O'Leary, who is the founder of Autistic Rights Together, and she created this organization to give a voice to people with autism, to advocate for them, and help remove the negative stigma associated with autism. Fiona has been an outspoken critic of the film, and rightfully so, because the film preys on the parents of autistic children, exploiting them in a shameful attempt to create fear and controversy around vaccines. The fact is, we don't know what exactly causes autism spectrum disorder. We're getting a better idea of what does, but what we do know right now is that vaccines absolutely do not cause autism. Anytime you're faced with criticism, you have three options, basically. You can ignore it, you can address the criticism, or you can bully the critic into shutting up. And if you spent any time dealing with an anti-vaxxer, you can probably take a guess as to which direction Wakefield went with this. So Wakefield and or somebody from the studio sent Fiona this letter, basically telling her to shut up. Part of the letter reads, "Your comments regarding the film are defamatory and with regard to the filmmakers are libelous per se. Demand is made that you immediately cease and desist from interfering with the distribution of the film, as well as making any statement to any person with regard to the film, Cinema Libre Studio, and or Autism Media Channel, its agents, representatives, and or employees, including Dr. Andrew Wakefield, Del Bigtree, and Polly Tommy. In the event that you do not comply with this demand, we intend to file an action against you. We will ask for punitive damages and financial compensation for all losses to our business directly resulting from your actions." And probably my favorite part of all this is the "file an action against you" phrase that he used. It's so vague and non-descriptive that it comes off sounding like an angry 6-year-old who didn't get to have ice cream or something. But there's a few problems with this letter, and not even regarding the fact that it's not from an attorney or a court or anything like that. First off, libel laws vary from state to state. Fiona doesn't even live in the United States in the first place. But you have to have 4 specific criteria met, and all 4 of these have to be met for you to have any semblance of a valid case. First one is you have to have a false statement purporting to be fact. You have to have a publication or communication of that statement to a third person, fault amounting to at least negligence and damages or some harm caused to the person or entity who is subject of the statement. Fiona hasn't said anything that's not true, so literally what they're trying to do is get her to shut up because they don't like what she's saying because they know it's valid. Second, court is expensive, and most people are afraid of going to court, and rightfully so, because of the expense. But this is completely consistent with the way anti-vaxxers work. Their only option that they have is to spread misinformation and try to create fear where there's no reason for fear to be had. I think most anti-vaxxers are so quick to get angry and to become aggressive because they know they are wrong. They're scared. They don't have actual evidence to back up what they're saying. They don't have any data supporting what they're saying. So they have no other option than to get angry and make these threats to people. Their views are based in emotion, so their natural reaction when faced with facts is to become emotional. And this is what's happening with the makers of Vaxxed because their views are based on emotion and not any sort of credible evidence. They're getting pissed off that people are calling them out about it. But aren't these the same people who complained about censorship whenever they got uninvited from the Tribeca Film Festival just a few months ago? So how do they justify trying to silence a critic whenever they themselves were complaining about being victims of censorship in the first place? And even then, Wakefield was not censored. He was uninvited from a private party. He's still free to promote his movie however he wishes. He can show his movie wherever he wants, if anybody will screen it anywhere. And so it leads you to ask, what's his actual motivation here? What's the reason that he's so upset? I mean, hell, he could rent a projector and show this movie in a public space if he wanted to get his message out, but he's not doing that. So you have to ask why he doesn't want to do that. And the only reasonable answer is money. Wakefield has never cared about reporting actual facts or evidence. Wakefield only cares about Wakefield. If his primary motivator in all this was not money, he would have already released the film on YouTube, because I'm sure he's already made enough to recoup any sort of production costs that he's encountered. And he demonstrated that all he cares about is money back whenever he released his fraudulent paper in the late 90s, trying to discredit the currently available MMR vaccine in an effort to be able to sell his own patent that he had on his own version of the MMR vaccine. He's not an ally to anti-vaxxers as much as they want to cite him and as much as they want to use him as a source. He's not a friend to anti-vaxxers. Wakefield has no credibility, has no evidence supporting what he's saying, and he's trying to silence the voices of people who do have evidence and who are calling him out. So the best thing that you can do to help is keep talking about it, because he can't threaten all of us. He can't bully all of us into silence. So talk about how he lied in the late 90s with his fraudulent paper. Talk about how he lied whenever he tried to sell his own version of the MMR vaccine. Talk about all the kids that have gotten sick as a result of the anti-vaxxer movement, which he himself started. Talk about the kids who have died as a result of vaccine preventable diseases. Talk about the fact that Del Bigtree and the film Vaxxed itself has supported the parents who treated their infant child's meningitis with maple syrup. Talk about this person, because he can't silence all of us.